Hey, Coach. Just curious about the progress of Max Fletcher. First of all, guy got a big leg, but he was inconsistent last year. Has he made progress in that regard? And what are your thoughts on him?
I think so. He had a really good spring, really good summer. We did a lot of charting in the summer as well. I was really proud of him there. Today was our first day to punt live. I think out of his 3 punts, he hit what I'd call an A ball. Second ball is a B ball, so 2 of the 3 were pretty decent balls. But I think he's heading in the right direction. When I was at Georgia, Jake Kamara was a punter we had there, and Jake was a really good talent coming out, very much like Max. But his first year at Georgia, he had an okay season, but his second year, he was just off the charts. So I'm hoping to see Max do the same. I think that first year as a punter is a really tough task.
Looking at kickoff man, typically had somebody else kicking off besides Cam. Who's in contention for that now?
I think I think we're in a good spot. Cam's had a really good spring, summer, and I think the start fall camp's been good. We also have Devin Bell that transferred here, coming this spring. I think has a real shot, and then Blake Ford's another guy that's been on the team for a while. And I think all 3 of those guys are going to have a real opportunity. I've been pleased where they're at. We've been blessed here. We had Vito here, and we had Bates here the last few years. That's made a big difference. But I feel really good about those 3 guys. Whichever one's on the field, I think they can all do a great job for us.
Given your brothers, would you rather have somebody besides Cam pick off just since he's already home field goals and free?
Yeah, honestly, I have no preference on that. I think when a kid's a freshman, to be able to come in and kick field goals and then take those responsibilities is better. But I have no problem with it. I don't think it dictates your performance one way or the other with field goal. I think when you get in the world of field goal, kickoffs, and punting, I think you got to be real careful there.
With Cam, I mean, he's been so good for these first 2 years with accuracy and distance, and how can he get better? Do you feel like he is better, and if so, how? In what way?
Yeah, I think what we've talked about from day one. Let's be at 80% or better, and he's done that the last 2 years. I think he's around 83% in 2 years. But this year we'd love to get up to hit that number of 90. I think if you ever can get the number of 90, then you can talk about having some opportunity for awards at the end of the season. But what I like about Cam, particularly last year, we missed a field goal at Texas A&M, and then he came right back and just got on a streak of about, I think, 6 or 7 field goals in a row. That's what he brings to the table. He's a very strong-minded young man, and I like the way he approaches the game.
Special teams often a good time to see freshmen pop. Any freshmen sticking out to you?
Right now we're really looking for what we call our role players, our core players, and our 70th man. So kind of definitely look at the freshmen, but the role players for us are guys that may start on offense or defense, and then we like to get them on teams for 1 or 2 units. And then you start looking at the core players. You want guys that they might play 18 to 20 snaps on offense and defense, and then maybe you can get them on 3 or 4 units. And our 70th man, if y'all remember 2 years ago, we had Nix that was on our team as a shield for us. And that's kind of a guy that, his role is only special teams. And he started for us on 3 units that year. So that's kind of how we're breaking it down. And but we're really excited about the freshmen, the transfers and stuff that we have on the team.
From the self scout of last year, what were your areas of needed improvement in special teams across the board?
The self scout, first of all, kickoff return. Kickoff return in college football today has really turned into a deal where you don't want to hurt your football team. Number one, so I kind of been my approach the last 2 years. If we're like the Ole Miss game 2 years ago, 52, 51, whatnot. As the game went along, I said we just need to get the ball in 25 and help our football team. But on the second hand, we've done a lot of studying with KOR this off season, and we want to be more productive there with the opportunities we get. And we'd like to take a few more opportunities than what we've done in the past. You can certainly sit back there and fair catch them all day with that rule, but we feel like we got some guys that have a chance to change the game. And a big part of talking about the scout report this off season is we want to. We did a breakdown. We felt like when we won the field position battle on special teams, so our offense was getting in a better position, our defense was as well, that we won 75% of those games. So that's something we're going to be real conscious of this year to try to help our football team with our punt return unit, our kickoff return unit, et cetera. But how I think you affect the game more than any other unit, obviously, is punt and punt return.
it seems to us that there's a little more depth at positions across the board. And I'm wondering if that factors into you, that you see like backup linebackers and backup safeties, guys that come to you more often, if you're seeing maybe an uptick in athleticism, speed, and all that.
Yes, we certainly have more talent than we've ever had on the team since I've been here. So, in the past, we've kind of pieced things together at times. And this year, I feel like we really got some good players. Of course, we picked up a couple more guys this summer, so we're still evaluating those as well. But I really like, where we're at with our depth, especially at the linebacker spot and at the skill spot at the defensive back position.
Maybe go over the top candidates, Satania, Stevens, and all for punt return, kickoff return.
I feel like punt return, leaving spring, obviously Bryce Stevens, Jalen Braxton's a freshman that moved in. I really like him. He's a very fast kid, a bigger sized kid, and also Isaiah Satega as well. I think all three of those guys have a chance for us back there, and we'll just kind of see how it plays out. If you move over to the kick return spot, obviously we have AJ back, but I really like Isaiah Satanga as well. He was a very good returner in high school. He played over here at Fairview High. My son's had a chance to watch him play quite a bit. So, but there's also some other guys we're looking at. But it goes back to what you said earlier. I think there's going to be a few more options this year to choose from.
Put something on maybe Eli, like the background on how you guys got him. He's up north Wisconsin or something?
Yeah. So Eli Stein is a long snapper that's from Wisconsin. His dad actually played at Wisconsin, a D lineman that converted to a long snapper. And I had Eli. What I try to do when need, like a real need for a snapper, I'm going to try to bring in early in the summer, get him up here to camp. And it just so happened the first guy we brought in had made a stop at a school, and he actually got offered and committed that day. So that guy was out, obviously, never made it here. And then Eli came in the next day, and obviously we loved the way he ran. We loved the way he snapped. And that's really, I have to try to scour the country and get the best guys we can. We're always going to look in state and the surrounding areas first, but then we just try to go around the country and find that best player we can find.
Cam only had 16 field goal tries last year. It seemed like there was a lot of option to go for it when you were in the red zone last year. I know that's not your call, but for guys as accurate as him, you think maybe it makes more sense to give him more opportunity?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I know Cam is as well. But I will say so much with how your season's going on offense and defense and how the flow of the game's going dictates that, but obviously that's never my call. But I'd certainly like to see us. I think Coach Pittman's talked a little bit more about trying to do that this year.
You mentioned taking opportunities on kickoff return. I mean, when you look at like going back to 2010, they outlawed wedge blocking. 2012, they moved it from the 30 to 35 to have more kickoffs going in the end zone. Then the last rule was the fair catch deal, so you get it at 25. AJ averaged like 15.6, I think, yards return last year. What is it about that you think you need to take more opportunities when everything's been done to kind of discourage it more?
Yeah, I think they've done the discouragement of the rules really been take the concussions out of it, which I think is a very good thing. But I think also it's like Pittman went a staff meeting the other day, starting at the 26.5 is so much better than starting at the 25-yard line. And I also think that, when you look at numbers like kickoff, we've been really good because we have a great kickoff guy, right? So you start looking at numbers on kickoff, and I mean, guys, I think last year we had 77 kickoffs, 70 of them were touchbacks, and 7 that were not. But when you look at stats, when you start looking at stats, particularly on kickoff coverage, that doesn't play well in your favor. Always getting the 25-yard returns. That makes sense. So we want to try to do things to boost that up, but at the same time, I think it's been a really good rule, and I think we got to be smart, but we got to use it to our advantage.
From a recruiting standpoint, how do you think things are going this year? And I think people probably don't know you're viewed as one of the top recruiters in the class. And just what's your approach? What do you think separates you, I guess, from other recruiters?
I think we have a lot of good recruiters on our staff, and for me, I just I really have always worked from who I am, just try to be a good friend to somebody and talk life lessons with them. And, I recruit a lot of different areas, but I really have tried to focus in Alabama the last 2 years because that's where I'm from. But we also have a lot of years of recruiting from Orlando to West Palm, and that's kind of where Rocket Sanders comes into play. And we don't go down and get a lot of guys. We just try to pick up a guy if we that matches us, it would have interest in coming here to Arkansas. But I just think be who you are. That's the biggest thing can make you do it.
How do you think? I know Eli hurt his finger at the end of last year. Just how do you think his freshman year went overall?
I think it went really well. We're in camp last year. I remember calling Eli in. I go, hey, Eli, you're not communicating with our players. Like, you're not talking to our specialists. You're just a real quiet kid by nature. But I encourage him to start having conversations with those guys. And Cam, I thought was very good with that, having those conversations with him. And because, as a young guy, you don't really understand what's going on exactly until you got to snap your first snap in the game. But I like the way he responded. And I'm from the South, he's from the North, so you're kind of completely different people, but he comes from a really good home. I think that has a lot to do with his success. And of course, obviously his dad snapped in college as well.
I can't think of any bad snaps he had. I mean, they always say about the great thing about a deep snapper is if you don't notice him, he's probably doing a good job.
No, if you're not saying his name, I'm pretty happy. If you're saying his name, we got problems. So unless he's making a tackle. And Eli did make 2 tackles last year. I was proud of him, 2 solo tackles.
And then is Max, I guess, is he your number 1 holder now? 3 gone? Or
yeah, Max. So it's kind of a story with these holders. It seems to happen every year, but every time we take a punt, we say, hey, you got to learn how to hold. Nobody wants him to hold. So Max last year, we were in camp, and everybody avoided Max like to play because he couldn't hold. He was learning, right? So, but that evolved into he was snapping in the bowl game last year, and Cam said he's one of the best he's ever had. So I don't know if he's doing that to boost his confidence or he feels that way, but I still think that's just Max working at his trade. Reed Bowers, same deal about 3 years ago. Nobody wanted him, and he worked his trade and got pretty good at it.
And then I know it's probably a little technical, who could be your number 2 holder somewhere?
Right now, probably Devin Bell. He's done a good job. He held a little bit at his previous institution.
And reading up on Larko, man, that guy does it all. It's pretty good numbers. Kind of, what's the story on him getting here, and where could he play into the mix?
So we always try to be 3 deep at kicker, punter, and long snapper. I know initially you might go, wow, why do you need that many guys? Well, you go through a season, right? And our 1 and 2 guy will always kick on Tuesday, Thursday, game day. Well, Monday and Wednesday, you need somebody kicking and punting to your return units, kickoff return, punt return. So that's where they can take a load off. Instead of Cam kicking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can go 3 days a week. So I really try to that's when we do that. But where does Larko fit in? Larko did some really good things at UT Martin. And what I like probably best about him was he kicked against Tennessee at Tennessee. So he'd been in a big game. So I wanted to bring in a guy that had been in some games, that had done some good things that we could bring in here. You never know about injuries. Eli got hurt last year. We never want that to happen, but when they go down, you just don't want to miss a beat. Like in the Ole Miss game, do y'all remember any bad snaps? Eli went down about right after halftime. We brought in some other people, and we didn't miss a beat, right? So that's kind of what you're looking for at every position.
Well, one more. So the mechanics of, Cam's been kicking, Eli's been snapping, Max had, and he's held a little bit. But how good do you feel about that 3-man, team on field goals next point and stuff?
Do I have being 3D?
No, I mean those 3 guys together.
Yeah, no. I think the more they're together, the better they become. And I think we're seeing that. Man, we come into camp last summer and we were rolling snappers. We're trying to see who's going to be the snapper. We're rolling them all the time. I know it's very frustrating for the holder and the kicker, particularly the kicker. But and then we settled in and we just kind of stuck with our 3 guys through the year. But it's good that they went in they've been together all summer. I would say the bowl game, Eli was still out with injury. They had the summer and the spring, summer, and then of course fall camp.
I wanted to follow up on something you said a minute ago, and I think I understood what you meant, but you were talking about the touchback percentage, and that 7 of them were returned. So did your stats show that you were tackling inside the 25 on a lot of those? So the question you have is,
So the 7 we returned.
yeah, do you want to kick down to the 1 and maybe try to pin people more? Is that what you?
Yeah, it's kind of what you talk about game plan wise. If they have a dynamic returner, obviously you want all touchbacks. If they have a guy that you feel like you can pin inside the 25, same thing. It's all about field position battles. So we want to be able to do that if we feel like our personnel. And we've had some years here I didn't feel real good about personnel covering. So having a guy who kick it out was really a big deal. But obviously, there's so many things you can do on a kickoff to dictate field position if you're willing to do it.
So in other words, you'd be more willing to let's just don't go touchback. You'd be more willing to try for more pinning this year.
Yeah, like you'd love to have a hang time, 4-0 hang time, 10 to the goal line, let's say, and then get a chance to try to pin them inside of 25. You'd love to be able to do that. Okay, thank y'all very